So I gave this shed a little bit of a tidy up recently, and look what I found. This is my Lunchmame, my MAME controller made out of a lunchbox. And it's timely that I found this too, because parts are starting to come in for my next big project. Hello YouTube, and welcome to my latest episode here at One Man Many Plans, in sync with the blog onemanmanyplans.com.au. My name is Al. It is awesome to have you on board, and if you've checked out some of my previous videos on this channel, you may have noticed a certain, well, especially in this video, a lack of a giant hunk of metal in this corner of my tiny little shed. And what that was a thermal take armor PC case, computer case. 16 kilos without anything in it. This thing was bulky, it was heavy, it would probably stop a bullet if you fired one in it. Like, phenomenal throwback of PC cases, and it has been in my shed since late last year. Now it's now May, so that's quite some time where it's been sitting here going nowhere. And I actually bought it from my boss, who's a mad computer fan and constantly upgrades his computer all the time, so doesn't know what to do with parts, he just sells them to me cheaply. I picked it up, I bought it for my daughter, so I could build her a computer. She's been gaming on Mum's iPad, and the boss said, look, if you want, I've got some bits and pieces, why don't you come around, you come and grab it, we'll work out a deal later. So I ended up with his giant oversized case, and I actually made this. I'm calling it the Thermal Take Overkill, because have a look at how tiny the motherboard is in comparison to everything else. Now, I'm not going to go into details about the full build or the fact that I paid for all of this by buying my boss a pair of golf shorts. Yes, it's quite the story. That is actually linked below in a link to the blog article itself. It's fair to say, though, that the computer has worked really, really well. Sophie's really, really happy with it. We've got some more parts coming, a better processor and a few other bits and pieces. But for the time being, the computer works, and even better, it's out of my shed, which means it's freed up a little bit of space. And that actually inspired me too. Freeing up a little bit of space there inspired me to actually get my act together and put all of my computer bits and pieces in the one place, because they're all over the shop. I've got a desk inside where I do a lot of my editing and a lot of my writing and a lot of my blogging, obviously. I've got the shed. Jack, my son's been borrowing parts and tools and bits and pieces. So there was stuff all over the house, but I've slowly got through and started to organize it and, you know, tape cables up and all that kind of stuff. So we're getting through it. But what it did was unearth a couple of things that I'd built previously, and just reminded me about how much fun I actually had in doing that. This is my MAME controller, and it's one of three, all with different buttons, bits and pieces, USB powered. I'll get to those in just a sec. But basically, as a kid of the 80s, growing up in the 80s, I loved my arcades. I love my arcade parlors where you pay, you know, 20 cents, 40 cents later, eventually $1 a game, boohoo. But playing those old school pinball games and arcade games like Double Dragon and Rampage and Wrestling, Pit Fighter, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, all of those classics, I fell in love with video games at a very, very early age. And so later on, when I was fresh into my radio career, I was living with a great bloke by the name of Doc, who introduced me to MAME, the multi-arcade something emulator. I'll get the official wording for you in just a sec. But the fact that I could now play those arcade games of old emulated on my PC, or at that time before I got my own PC, Doc's computer, oh, it just opened up a whole new world. Like, all of the memories, all of those times, and the many hours and lots of pocket money that I sunk into those games, it all just came flooding back. And so I loved it. I was playing MAME on my PC for quite some time. And then when I finally had a house and a decent enough shed, we're talking a shed you could put a car in, so certainly not this tiny thing that I'm doing this video in here now, I thought, how hard could it be to actually build an arcade cabinet? And I did. And for a while, I had my own arcade cabinet. It was a certain work in progress. It taught me a lot of stuff from the ground up. I'd never worked with MDF before. I had a rudimentary understanding of how to plug one of these things together. I had the computer side down pat, but, you know, controls, What was it going to use as a screen? How was it going to build this? It took quite some time, trial and effort, and there was a lot of sort of fixing things along the way. But one of the best things I ever made because of the fun of putting it together. My father-in-law was quite impressed by the end of how far I got. And I would have continued with this particular project had we not moved into state. Job opportunity came up, job of a lifetime. I went, right, okay, I've got to go. Off we went, and I sold that arcade cabinet. In the future, if I ever get a place with a big garage, plenty of workspace for a couple of sawhorses and plenty of sheets of MDF or ply, I'll be doing it again. But over the years, since I sold that unit, I've just thought, oh, I kind of miss that. I can play MAME on my computer, but it's not the same with a keyboard and a mouse. It just doesn't add up. So I decided, what if we made some kind of controller that I could just plug in and off we go. And originally I tried one with, ply and bits and pieces, a huge unit made out of wood. I spent a few months on it. It didn't look good. It fell to pieces. I ripped it apart and I thought there's got to be an easier way. Maybe I'm overthinking this. What if I could find some kind of box that I could drill a few holes in, plug a few bits and pieces in, connect it all up, connect it to my computer, and it does the rest. How hard could that be? And one day I just happened to be going past Kmart and I saw the box of my MAME controller dreams. Now this is, I'm going to say a lunchbox. I call it a lunchbox. It could be used as a lunchbox. It is a Systema veggie box, fridge box, whatever you want to call it. All of $3.50. That's genius. If I stuff this up, it's only $3.50. And so what I did was using parts from previous builds when I tried to make the wooden controller. It didn't work very well. I took them all out and I got to working on this. And the whole idea of this was that, one, it's cheap and easy to work on because, you're drilling 6-7 holes for the buttons, space for the joystick as well. All of the wiring from all the buttons and every bits and pieces goes into this zero delay encoder right here. And if anything went wrong or something was not put together correctly, I could just pop this open and fix it on the fly. Because that's one thing that I found with my arcade. You had to have absolutely everything right to go before you sealed it up. This way, if something does break or, the buttons don't light up because they all light up, you can actually pop off the top and you can have a look at how things, or what's going on. Things connected, is there a loose wire? Is there a dodgy wire? Is there a part of the encoder that's not working? So for one of these controllers, single player button, joystick obviously, 6 buttons. I think I used somewhere like this is the Street Fighter layout or one of the Street Fighter layouts because I just thought, yeah, I'm kind of used to that to the arcades. On the side here, coin button. Very, very cool. And $3.50 at Kmart for the actual box. But all of the buttons and the controls and the zero delay encoder are actually from AliExpress. And it really, really didn't set me back too much. I can't remember the exact price. This is going back a few years ago now, using recycled parts. But it worked out brilliantly. Long cord. So you can have, 3 people sitting around your computer with enough space. And of course a USB to go into your computer. It does light up. I had enough parts to make 3 of them. So I've got 2 of them here. Various stickers from along the way that I've got. I think most of these stickers actually also came from AliExpress. Lots of brand stickers for whatever reason. But these things have worked absolutely brilliantly. Part of the fun is playing it, and the kids love playing Moonwalker, Rampage, also another big game on MAME. I like the beat 'em ups and the fighters as well. And I've recently got back into, now I might get this wrong, either Mugen or Mugen. It is the downloadable, customizable fighting game. I keep thinking it's Mugen, but I've heard people talk on YouTube about how it's called Mugen. So whatever it is, that I'm looking forward to plugging these back into the computer and actually giving them a whirl again just to play that fighter. And downloading all of my favorite fighters, because I played lots of fighters from Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, like I said, but Art of Fighting, King of Fighters, all of those kinds of games. So much time in arcades. So I'm looking forward to plugging them back in again, making my own arcade unit sooner or later down the track when we, eventually buy a house. It all bases on YouTube success. So if you could follow and like and subscribe, that'll certainly help me get there a little bit faster. But the love of plugging things in and building things from scratch has led me to my next project, or I should say my next delivery, because this actually came in yesterday. Looking at this is, again, from AliExpress. Geez, there's some junk on there, but there's some amazing stuff as well. This is a Arduino Nano, or it's a Nano clone. Just a few bucks. I bought one for myself and I bought one for my son Jack. Comes with its own little USB, ready, good to go. What I didn't realize is how small they are. Like, look at that. That is, you know, finger size. Absolutely tiny. I thought it was going to be a board the size of the zero delay encoder. I had no idea it was this small. But I've got this, and I've got a couple of other bits and pieces coming for it, for a particular project that a good mate of mine and I sat down and worked on over one boozy night over a campfire. We just said, well, what about this? Not going to go into too many details because it is a work in progress. It's nothing new on the Arduino front. Apparently plenty of people have used this particular model or a similar Arduino to actually build one of these things. But I'm kind of looking forward to giving it a whirl and giving it a crack, because seeing the Lunchmames and also watching a couple of channels on YouTube at the moment about people revisiting old gaming systems or modifying gaming systems or just repairing things has certainly inspired me to just go, right, I've built this, I've built an arcade game, what can I build next? And I think that's the fun of things. So if you are like me and you're like, oh, I need another hobby, maybe consider, you know, plug and play. Well, this is not really plug and play, there's a bit of soldering involved, but certainly these things, plug and play kind of electrics and gaming systems, because you never know what you might come up with next. Cheap, cheerful, it works. The kids are absolutely thrilled. I should have made more of them because I've got quite a few nephews and they all want to play them at the same time. But building something like that and the feeling you get when you plug it in and it all works, or when you fix it and it all works, there is nothing like it. So wish me luck. If you're working on a project at the moment, I would love to hear from you down in the comments below. Maybe it's got something to do with an Arduino Nano, or, you know, it could be a Raspberry Pi. Maybe you're working with MAME controls. Maybe you're building your own arcade. Please, if you are, let me know below, because I want to be... Oh, I love arcades. I'm insanely jealous of you if that's the case. I will have my own cabinet again one day. But hey, I've got plenty to work on in the moment, and that's what I love. Spare time, just tooling away, building something, and that satisfaction at the end going, yes, that's the plan. Wish me luck on it. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks.